course. Well, welcome everyone. We'll go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for being here from wherever you're joining us. We're excited to welcome you here to Colorado State University. And I'm here to share a little bit of information about general housing in Fort Collins and around CSU, and then more specifically about information regarding living on campus. So those are the two areas we'll talk about today. We have some great resources on campus for those that are interested in living off campus, and I'll be sure to share that information, how you can reach out to that office as well. My name again is Christy Matthews. I work for Housing and Dining Services here at Colorado State University, and we'll go ahead and get started. If you have questions, you can feel free to put those in the chat, and I believe Bronwyn will keep an eye on those. We'll make sure to try to answer them before we finish today. And if we're not able to get to all the questions, we can definitely follow up after this session. So away we go. Just have to adjust my screen a little bit here. Okay, all right, so some general information about living in the United States, or more specifically Fort Collins and at CSU. Wanted to make sure that folks are aware that when you're coming to CSU as a student, most of the apartments around in the community that are called student housing are rented by the bedroom and not the unit or apartment. If you're coming with a family, you would be looking for multifamily housing options. And those are the apartments that are rented by the entire apartment or multiple bedroom units. So you'll just want to be aware of that distinction. Excuse me for a second. It is also important to ask questions about what is included with the rent. For example, in many apartment communities, you will have to pay extra outside of the rent for utilities, trash removal. If you want cable television or internet service, those are extra costs. So just something to be aware of. I'll share this again later, but the Off-Campus Life Office, which is ocl.colostate.edu, is your great connection point for information about apartments in the larger Fort Collins community and that are not a part of Colorado State University. So they do have some resources, apartment communities who have worked with international students and are able to work with you if you don't have a social security number and some of the things that some apartment communities may ask for. So just be sure to refer to Off-Campus Life here at CSU if you're looking for off-campus housing options. What is a furnished apartment? So just want to be clear about what does it mean to be in a furnished apartment here in Colorado. Furnished means things like furniture, a couch, a chair, maybe a desk and a bed, dining tables and chairs. And they do vary by different apartment complexes a little bit, but those are the basic furniture items provided. And then you do also get a refrigerator, a stove, and in some cases a microwave oven, but not always. Those are the things that are included in a furnished apartment. And this is true on campus and off campus. What is not included and you'll need to prepare for is a furnished apartment does not come with any bedding, no towels, no rugs, no dishes, pots, or pans. And it's important for you to think about what do you need to bring for your arrival. So maybe you want to bring a couple of sheets for your bed, just so that when you arrive, you have something basic that you can start with, and then plan for what do you need to purchase once you get here to CSU. And I know the International Programs Office does a great job of supporting getting you to where you need to go to find the things that you need to purchase. The other thing, just as a note, we have an office called Parking and Transportation Services. Most apartment communities may charge an extra fee to park a car on campus. So we'll talk more about parking and transportation later, but just know that if you are intending to bring a car, that is an additional cost to the rent that you would pay in many cases. As for our campus, CSU is a non-smoking campus. So there is no smoking in any building on the CSU campus, including all of our housing, residence halls and apartments. And people who do smoke will need to go off of campus to do so, and that includes in housing. This can apply to apartments off campus as well. And in regard to marijuana, CSU is a federally funded institution. There is no marijuana use allowed anywhere on campus, as it is a federal law. And CSU policies follow that federal law. So some good information about living on campus. Why do we think it's great for you to live on campus? Of course, location is premium. You're near within a half a mile or so, maybe a mile if you're living in the on-campus apartments, to the academic core of our university. So definitely within a 10 to 15, 20-minute walk, or you can ride the bus, skateboard, bicycle, very close to all of our buildings on campus. Additionally, we have a lot of academic support. We have live-in and on-campus staff who are there to support all of your needs as a student. We know that you're here to be a student and to be successful, and so we are able to refer you or contact the resources that you need to make sure that you have everything that you need to be successful. Many campus resources as well. We know that you're transitioning to CSU, and we're here to support that. Access to tutoring, access to the rec center, the health center, all of the services that we provide here at CSU to help you to be successful. We do offer 24-hour a day, 7 days a week security, and what that looks like, we'll talk about a little bit more. And then we do employ students. Housing and Dining Services is the largest department on campus, and we do hire more than 1,000 students to work with us every year. So there's lots of opportunity for students who are looking for a job and some experience as a part of their academic time here at CSU. And again, we support students being successful throughout all of their coursework and academic goals. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the apartments, and just a second here. Whoops, I can't see you all. I was hoping to adjust my screen to see you, but anyway, I'll keep going. So we have two different room styles in the residence halls, and these are images of what those rooms are like. So you'll see on our website, there's information about what we call suite style rooms and community style rooms. The suite style rooms in general, there are some variations, but the majority are like this, where two rooms, one room shared by two students, another room shared by two students, share a bathroom. And so this is suite style, is a bathroom serving 4 students. And you can see here the furniture that's provided. We have a desk for each student. These beds can be lofted to add space. So in this image, there's a desk underneath one of the beds. Each student has a dresser, chest of drawers, and a wardrobe. Sometimes the dresser is a part of the wardrobe, so there's some variation, but this is the furniture provided. You can see there's a sink in the room, and then the commode and shower is the portion of the bath that's shared. And then in the community style rooms, you'll see here the same thing. There's a desk and chair for each student. The beds are loftable, and there's clothing or wardrobe storage for each student in this space. The bathroom is down the hall in the community style rooms. The residence hall assignment process, just for your information, for next fall, The hall application will open in early 2024. Last year, that was early January. Students will apply for housing early, like January through March. And then there's a roommate request process. So students actually set up a profile in the system, and they look for people who have common academic interests and personal interests that they might like to share a room with. So you go into the system and look for folks, you start chatting with people and getting to know people even before you arrive here at CSU. And then later in the midsummer, late June, early July, we actually open it up for students to go in and choose the building and the room and the roommate that they want, where they want to live. So by midsummer, students will have the opportunity to select from the rooms that are available to determine where they'll be living for the year. For this spring, the assignment process is a little bit more truncated or brief based on the timing and the process. The spring applications, if you're coming to campus in January of this year, they are open now, and you should apply if you haven't already, if you're intending or required to live on campus. So you can go into the housing website and apply for housing. And the halls will open on January 11th. There is an early move-in option, but we really encourage students to plan to arrive on or after January 11th. If you do need to arrange your flights to arrive between January 6th and January 10th, there is an additional charge of $75 per day, and that covers your room and your meals for each of those days that you need to arrive early. If you have questions about that, feel free to put them in the chat or contact our housing office, and I'll share that contact information before we finish. We do have multiple options for residential learning communities, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But essentially, those residential learning communities, if you have a particular interest in the Key community or other communities that are called residential learning communities, those are generally located in a particular building, and you'll get more information about selecting a room for that process as well. Here is the information about the residence halls and the rates specifically, if you want to visit that webpage. Okay, and then this is a little information about our dining options. Still trying to figure out how I could see you all. There we go. I've got it. There you are. Hello. Okay. If you live in the residence halls, you do need to have a meal plan. And so you will need to select between any 15 meals, any 19 meals per week, or 19 plus meals per week. You can decide which one of those that you would prefer. I think we default to setting students up at the 19 meals a week, and then when you complete your application for housing, you can actually go in and select or change that meal plan. So I do see a question. If you live in the residence halls, you do have to have a meal plan. And so that it's not an option for you to live in the halls and not have a meal plan. But you can select the lowest one, which is 15 meals per week. So the community style bathrooms are shared. There's a question here. They're shared by all the folks on that floor by gender. And so it can be somewhere around 20 to 25 students. However, those bathrooms have 4 to 6 showers, toilets, and sinks. So they're a large bathroom meant to be shared for all the students living there. And the thing that we know about the community style rooms with bathrooms down the hall is students do meet a lot of students really quickly when they actually leave their residence hall room to use the bathroom. So that's a bonus. That's a benefit. So going back to the meal plans, plans offer 15 meals per week up to a total of 26. So if you get the 19 plus meal plans, you can eat 26 meals a week. And every plan includes 15 bonus meals per semester. So that means that usually 15 meals a week are fine for me, but there's one week where I decided to run a marathon. That's not happening, but anyway. And so I need more fuel that week. And so those 15 bonus meals I can use when I need them. So in that week when I'm exercising a lot, I feel like I need more fuel, I may decide to use some of those bonus meals to get me through. You can also use those if you have a family member or a friend who wants to eat with you in the dining center. So you can use those meals to host a guest in the dining center. And then you also have $150 of RAM cash added to your CSU RAM card, your ID, every semester. And you can use those in our marketplace, grab and go locations, and different places across campus. You can actually use that RAM cash in many of the locations in the Laurie Student Center. So that's another great option for you. If you aren't making it to the dining centers to use a meal swipe, you can use some of your RAM cash to eat in many of the locations in the Laurie Student Center. And you'll see here, dining is available between 7 a.m. and 11 p.m. We've also implemented some kind of individual grab and go locations where students can access food even after 11 p.m. You go and self-serve and swipe to access meals in some of our dining centers. If you're hungry at 5 in the morning, you can go get something to eat. Okay, nutrition is important to us here at CSU. You can go to menus.colostate.edu and you'll find menus for all 4 of our dining centers with everything we're serving for the day, including all the nutritional information. The Eat Well labeling is what that's called. We also have vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, and allergen-free options in all of our dining centers. We value serving local and organic food. So more than 25% of what we serve is from our local community and organic. And then we do have a registered dietitian on staff. So if you have specific nutritional needs or questions, we encourage you to reach out to Kara. She is available to all the students who live with us on campus and can work with you around planning, finding what you want to eat, addressing any nutritional challenges you may have or be developing. And she's wonderful. She's great to work with. So we encourage you to reach out to her. Additionally, we do offer halal options in our residence halls for those students who may have interest in those options. Okay, our university apartments. So we have many apartments on campus. The Aggie Village apartments are the first apartments I want to talk about. These are fully furnished apartments. Here in the image, you'll see one of the bedrooms at Aggie Village. And these apartments are available to students after their first year required live-on in the residence halls. So students who are a first-year undergraduate student without previous university experience are required to live in the residence halls their first 2 semesters. And then after those first 2 semesters, you are eligible to live in the Aggie Village apartments as an undergrad. Graduate students who are single are also able to apply for Aggie Village. Again, fully furnished with with most of the furniture, not the bedding or some of the storage stuff that's included in this image. We do have curtains on all the windows. These apartments have studio 1, 2, 3, and 4 bedroom options. They provide air conditioning, dishwashers, washer and dryer, and are a close walking distance to campus. Again, rented by the bedroom, and you share the kitchen and bath with other students. International House is single graduate and undergraduate housing for students who are over the age of 23. It is located just west of our campus. These are 1 and 2 bedroom apartments and are again rented by the bedroom with shared kitchen and bath. Aggie Village Family is specifically for couples and families. These are 2-bedroom apartments, and they are provided furnished or unfurnished for those that are bringing their own furniture with them. In our family housing, there are some options to have the furniture removed from the apartments, so that you can bring your own furniture. These are rented by the apartment, so multifamily, as I mentioned before. It does include a kitchen and 1 bath. These are nice for those folks who don't want stairs within the apartment, so there are no stairs inside the apartment. However, because it's a 2-story building, some apartments are upstairs and you have to climb the stairs outside to enter the apartment. And then University Village, we have 2 and 3-bedroom family and couples housing. These are a townhouse style, so most of these apartments have stairs inside the apartment. Again, 2 and 3-bedroom options. Single graduate students may also live there. Priority is given to students with families because these are the size that would be accommodate a family. And again, rented by the apartment, the whole apartment unit, with 1 bathroom. Okay, so for students who live in the university apartments or live off campus, you also may purchase a dining plan to eat in our dining centers. And essentially, for students who don't live in the residence halls, you purchase as many or as few meals as you like in packages of 5. So 5 meals blocks, you could buy 50, you could buy 100, but the lowest amount you can buy is 5 meals. So it gets charged to your student account, or you can pay with a credit card. And you can go to any of our 4 dining centers, all the marketplaces and express locations within Housing and Dining Services. So again, a little information about transportation. We are a Bike Platinum community, so we have so many bicycles on campus, and you can purchase an inexpensive bike when you get to campus. It's a great way to get around, and I highly encourage you to consider biking, walking, riding a skateboard or scooter. We also have free access, or the student fees pay for your access to the Fort Collins bus system. So your CSU ID gives you access to ride all of the Fort Collins buses to anywhere in the city. So there are some great options for even going shopping at Target or Walmart or some places that you might want to visit in Fort Collins. And essentially you can ride anywhere with your ramp card. We also have a car share option on campus, and we have 4 locations. You can pick those up. It's called Zipcar. And so if you don't want to bring a personal vehicle, then Zipcar is an option. So for students who want to get to the mountains or rent a car to go to the store and once a month and pick up groceries or whatever, the Zipcar is a great option without having to bring a personal vehicle to campus. Again, if you do decide to bring a car, we do have year-round permit parking. So you do have to buy a parking permit to park your car on campus. And so just want to make sure that you're aware. And then for those that are bringing children with you, families to campus, this is a little information about the schools, the public schools that children neighborhood schools that children would live in if they live in our different apartment communities. So I can elaborate on this if anyone has questions, but just if you want to take a screenshot of this, if you're bringing children with you, it gives you an idea of what schools you'll want to contact to enroll children in school. So little information to share there. And then some other important information for students coming into CSU. We do support all students' basic needs, and here are some resources that you can access if you may have any needs around access to food. Other particular challenges, our case management staff can help with financial hardship. And so that's a great resource that you can utilize while you're here at CSU. We also offer a food pantry on campus for all university community members to access, where you can see in the image, you can get access to free, fresh food during the hours that they're open each week. We also have what we call a pocket pantry in the family apartment communities at University Village and Aggie. So you can access those pocket pantries for a little bit of food if you have a need or you know someone who has a need. We also have a program where it's called RAM Recovery. And if there's a big event on campus and there's leftover food, we encourage students to sign up and they'll get a text message if there's leftover food, and students can then go and have lunch or have some of that food that's left over. So it's a wonderful program that helps us to reduce waste and give students access to food resources. So I wanted to share those resources with you. And again, just want to go through the application process in detail to make sure you know what you need to do. If you are coming this spring and haven't already applied for housing, please do so as soon as possible if you want to live on campus. If you're waiting for your documentation to come through, please know that there's a time frame where you can actually apply, pay the deposit, and still get your deposit back, most of your deposit back, if you need to cancel. So I'll share that information for the fall application process in just a minute. At this point, for the spring residence hall application, if you need to apply now, and then things change, you probably would not get the full deposit back. But it is still important for you to let us know that you're coming so that we can have a room or an apartment available for you when you arrive. It is important to arrange your housing before you arrive in Fort Collins. We do have a lot of students incoming both fall and spring. And so it is important to know where you're going to be staying before you get here. So please ask questions if you have them and make sure that you are getting your housing secured before you arrive. So if you're coming in spring, fill out the application now, make sure that you pay the deposit. It's $350 total. $300 of that is an application fee that's non-refundable. $300 of that is the actual deposit, which if you live with us and then when you move out, everything is in good condition, that deposit would be returned to your CSU account. Make sure that you click through and complete the application. Make sure that you get an email that says you've completed your application and reach out if you have questions about that. But if you have applied but you haven't paid the deposit, then your application is not in the queue for housing. We don't even know it's there unless you complete it. So you need to actually pay that deposit for your application to be complete. And here is the website for you to email if you have questions about your housing application. We do have a space in the residence hall for the spring semester, the residence halls, and we may have a little bit of space in the apartments. Can't guarantee that, but we may have some space. So if you are considering the university apartments, also be looking off campus. It's important that you consider both, as space and demand for on-campus apartments is really limited. Okay, again, we talked about $350 deposit, 50 is non-refundable. Need to update that. So if you're applying for fall of 24, and you apply and then cancel by June 1st, $300 is refundable for next fall. Again, first-year undergraduates are required to live on campus. Non-first years transfer and graduate student applications, we cannot guarantee housing if you apply. So having an application with us doesn't guarantee that we'll have space available for you when you arrive, but we will contact you and offer you space via email. So be sure that you're staying in touch with us once you have applied. And then again, here is the information about off-campus life and how that office can help you with finding an apartment off campus. So please make note of that webpage and contact their office with any questions that you have regarding living off campus. So I see a couple questions in the chat. I'm just going to finish these slides and then I'll make sure to answer those questions. So a little information about arrival and check-in. This is a picture of Denver International Airport. So if you're planning to live on campus, you can check in between 8 a.m. and 10 p.m. And so as you're planning for flying in or arriving on campus, try to plan to arrive on campus between those hours. We just have more staff and service available to support you at that time. If your flight's delayed or you arrive after 10 p.m., you can call the staff on duty to check in, but you must have cell phone access to do so. We essentially post the phone number of the duty staff on the door. And so you can contact them if you do have to arrive after 10 p.m. But again, if you can arrive before 10, that's what we recommend. So please plan accordingly. There are shuttle services from Denver International Airport. There are a couple of them. One is called Groom. There's another one called Landline. I think Groom will offer service to drop you at the door of where you'll be living. Landline is more a general service that will drop you on the CSU campus or in Fort Collins, but doesn't have door-to-door service. So you should look into shuttles to get to Fort Collins. It's about a little over an hour from the airport to arrive in Fort Collins. To contact staff on duty, I know some students use apps that they use to communicate. I think at this time, we really are still a cell phone campus. And so reach out in advance if you intend to or plan to use an app like WeChat or something, and we'll see if our staff can support that. Okay, so that is the conclusion of my presentation. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and just answer a couple questions here. So thanks so much for listening. And there was a question about whether you can take food from the dining centers to your room. And yes, you are able to take food from the dining centers to anywhere on campus that you would like to eat. In fact, we have one option now where you can actually order your food on an app called Grubhub and use a meal swipe, and then you go and pick it up and take it with you. A lot of students like to eat outside or go meet friends or take it back to their room. So that is an option. And then for anyone who is a first year or freshman undergrad over the age of 21, they are not required to live in the residence hall. So those students who are under the 21 or younger are required to live in the residence halls. If you're over 21, you are not required to live in the residence halls. So I'm going to pause for a moment and open it up. Are there any other questions that I can answer for folks? Hello? Hello? So the prices for the apartments that we talked about, I don't know them by heart. So there is a web page, and I will see if I can pull that up for you to go and find the rates for those apartments. Bronwyn or Greg, anyone else have anything that you would like me to address?
Christy, I think it's just helpful to remind people if they apply for housing and something happens and they're not able to come, what can they do and what happens to their deposit?
Okay, let me look up this web page really quickly. So here is the link to the university apartment rates for you to look at. And so if a student, as I said, if you apply for next fall of 24, and you are concerned because you don't have all of your plans in place yet, it is important for you to still apply early. And that's where I was talking about if you pay the $350 deposit, your application is then complete. So if you don't pay that deposit, your application is not yet complete and you're not in the queue for an apartment or a room. So that's an important piece that you do need to complete your application to be in the queue. And as I said, if you cancel by June 1st, before June 1st, your $300 of that deposit will be returned to your student account. And $50 is an application fee that is not refundable. If you have to cancel after June 1st, then the deposit is no longer refundable. Is that the question, Bronwyn?
Yeah, and can those deposits also be deferred at all? Like if someone is hoping to come in the spring, applies, and then their visa is delayed for some reason, can it be pushed to the fall application?
Yes, for sure. So if you apply for fall and determine you need to wait until spring or sometime later, you can move your application to the next semester and keep it active. And you do, in that case, you do not lose that deposit. So that's a great question. Thanks, Bronwyn.
Christy, I do have a question, and it is for our graduate students that are in the audience. So even if they have filled out an application, as far as you talked a little bit about like on-campus apartments and that kind of thing, but if there's no space available, what is the possibility for graduate students to get on-campus housing is the first question. And then two, I was going to mention that we will have a presentation by Off Campus Life in a few weeks here that will really talk about all of the off-campus options that are available. So if there are graduate students that don't get placed within residential life, we would then actually encourage you to reach out to our off-campus life housing. But to the first question, really, what's the potential or possibility for grad students living on campus for the spring and then also for the fall, because the fall tends to be a little bit busier. So
Great, thank you. Yes, so as I mentioned, we do have a little bit of space we anticipate opening up for the spring semester. So there's a chance that there would be some space. However, we always have more demand than we have apartments available on campus. So I think it's important to note that there is a lot of interest in our apartments, and then also just that we don't necessarily know how many apartments will be open because we have to have someone move out for the next person to move in. I know that makes perfect sense, but we don't always know until graduation or when students are finishing their academic programs that they're actually leaving an apartment to open that up for someone coming in. And so that's why we're often trying to anticipate what availability might be, but we don't always know very far in advance. So limited availability in the apartments, but we do house graduate students. So that's why it's important to apply early, but it's also important to explore both on-campus and off-campus options, because we do always have more demand than we have space available in our university apartments. This spring, I think we have some space in the residence halls. If graduate students are interested in living in the residence halls, that would be an option. However, just to note that there would be undergraduate students living in the community as well. So those are some on-campus options for the spring. And again, maybe a limited number of apartments available for the spring semester. So definitely important to explore both on-campus and off-campus options. And as I mentioned, make sure that you have secured your housing before you arrive.
That was perfect. Thank you.
Wonderful. All right. So, how early can you arrive to CSU if you start in the spring? So, January 6th is the earliest that you can arrive. And again, as I mentioned, the opening date for the residence halls is January 6th. Sorry, January 11th. And if you arrive before January 11th, there is a $75 per day room and food charge additional for each day early you arrive. So that's for the residence halls. January 6th would be the earliest you can arrive. If you are applying for and assigned a university apartment, you're offered that apartment on the date that it's available, and there's more flexibility for when you can arrive. So that is based on when the apartment becomes available. So there's a question about the rates. What's listed in the rates is either listed by the bedroom or by the apartment. So if you're looking at our rates page and see at Aggie Village, an apartment, a 1-bedroom apartment, or let's say at Aggie Village, 2-bedroom apartment is $915 per person. So that is per person. So you'll need to note if it says per person, that's what you would pay. At International House, a 1-bedroom is $1,100. That's paid by the individual. At International House, a 2-bedroom that is listed at $775 per person. That is what you would pay, is $775. Did I lose you all?
No, we're here.
Oh, something happened to my view. Sorry about that. Cool. Okay. So I hope that helps with the rates. Any other questions?
Yeah, there's a couple more there.
Okay. Is there any start date for arrivals to University Village as residence halls? I don't know that I understand that question. Is there any start date for arrivals to university? As I said, the University Village, it's based on when the apartment is vacant from the last resident. So those dates are offered at the time an apartment assignment is offered, and they vary. So if someone moves out on December 31st, then the arrival date is set based on when we can clean and prepare the apartment for the next person to move in. So they vary. There isn't one set date for when you could move into an apartment.
Christy, there's also a question if they're seeing a rate for 2 bedrooms that says the rent is $1,000, does that mean that if there's 2 people in it, the rent per person is actually $500?
And that's what I was talking about. It says on our webpage, the page I posted, if it's per person, it means the individual pays that. So if there's a more specific question about that, Aggie Village Family, a 2-bedroom apartment is for families. That's $1,000 for the apartment. So they vary depending on the type of apartment, whether it's single student housing by the bedroom, as I mentioned, or if it's family housing by the unit. I know I'm kind of complicating this answer. Sorry about that. Do we need more clarification on that? Okay. Any other questions? All right. Well, you're welcome to reach out to housing.colostate.edu if you have any additional questions. And please be sure to reach out sooner than later. Did I get that wrong? Housing at colostate.edu. Thank you,
For
everyone.
anyone wondering, this has been recorded. We'll be sharing that recording with all of you. So if you have any questions, if you're not sure about something, you can go back and reference that. If you want to see any of the slides that Christy shared, that will be there as well. Christy, I just put the updated email in the chat for you there. Oh, you did too. And just want to thank you again, Christy, for providing this information to our students. If you are unable to secure housing on campus, we will be doing a Zoom session with Off-Campus Life. I believe I'm actually going to look it up so I tell you the correct date, but it will be on November 7th. And that information will be sent out to you as well. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to them there. And if you haven't applied to live on campus and want to live on campus, please go do that right now. This would be a great time to take care of that while it's right there at the top of your head. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, and welcome to CSU. We're excited to see you on campus.
Thank you, Christy.